It was a morning like any other, yet for Jerry Seinfeld, nothing would ever feel ordinary again. At 71, the man who made millions laugh, the icon of stand-up comedy, the star who turned everyday life into gold on television, received a diagnosis that would shake his world to its core. Imagine hearing that your own mind, the very thing that shaped your career, your identity, your memories, is betraying you. That's exactly what happened to Jerry, and the news was devastating. A neurological condition that affects memory, leaving him unable to recognize even the faces he has known his entire life. For fans, Jerry Seinfeld has always been synonymous with sharp wit, impeccable timing, and that classic observational humor that could make a crowded room roar. But behind the curtain, behind the bright lights of comedy clubs and television sets, a very different story was unfolding. Friends describe a man once brimming with confidence and clarity, now facing moments of fear and confusion. The diagnosis, while precise, carries an emotional weight that statistics and medical terminology can never fully convey. Doctors explained that memory loss in someone like Jerry doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in silently, eroding pieces of the familiar world around him. The first signs were subtle. Forgetting a punchline mid-performance, misplacing scripts, or pausing mid-conversation as if the words themselves had abandoned him. But soon, it became painfully apparent that this was more than simple forgetfulness. Even the most cherished faces, family members, the people who have shared his life's most intimate moments, were starting to fade from recognition. The irony is almost cruel. Jerry's life has been dedicated to observation, to noticing the tiny, hilarious details that others overlook. And now, the world he meticulously cataloged in jokes and stories was slipping through his fingers. For someone whose career thrived on mental sharpness, this diagnosis felt like a cruel twist of fate, a nightmare no one could have anticipated. Family and close friends were stunned. How do you comfort a man who built his entire life on sharp thinking when the very thing he relied on is no longer reliable? How do you prepare for moments when a father, husband, or friend may look at you with blank eyes, as if you were a stranger? The medical explanation may have been clear, but the emotional reality was raw, immediate, and heart-wrenching. In the days following the diagnosis, the world outside remained oblivious to Jerry's private struggle. Cameras continued to capture his public appearances, the laughter of audiences filling the room. But behind the scenes, an intimate tragedy was unfolding. Each misstep, each forgotten face, carried with it a weight of despair that no punchline could lift. It was a reminder that even icons, even legends, are human and vulnerable in ways the world may never truly understand. Jerry Seinfeld's shocking diagnosis isn't just a story about memory loss. It's a story about identity, about the fragility of our most cherished connections, and about the invisible battles fought behind a smile that has entertained millions. And while the world watches him from the stage, a quiet, heartbreaking struggle continues, one that no applause, no laughter, can erase. For Jerry Seinfeld, the heartbreak of memory loss isn't measured in jokes missed or lines forgotten. It's measured in moments lost with the people he loves most. Imagine sitting at the dinner table with your family, staring across at your spouse, your children, your siblings, and realizing that their faces feel foreign, their names slipping like water through your fingers. For Jerry, this has become a daily reality, a cruel twist for someone whose life has always revolved around connection, observation, and laughter shared with others. His wife and children, pillars of support throughout his decades-long career, now find themselves in the impossible position of comforting a man who may not recognize them. The pain is mutual. For them, every forgotten memory, every blank stare, cuts deeper than any tragedy Hollywood headlines could ever capture. A simple hug, once warm and familiar, can now trigger confusion or fear. A familiar joke that would have sparked laughter might now be met with a puzzled look. It's a cruel and unrelenting reality that has turned family life into a minefield of uncertainty and sorrow. Friends and colleagues described the emotional toll as staggering. One close friend shared that Jerry's laughter, which once filled rooms with joy, now carries a hint of desperation. A subconscious attempt to cling to the identity he once knew so well. The man who could command a stage, effortlessly spinning mundane observations into comedic gold, now finds himself fighting against an invisible enemy, his own fading memory. It's as though the roles have reversed, and Jerry, the entertainer, has become the audience to his own life, unsure of what scene will play next. The mental fog isn't the only challenge. For the family, there is also the unspoken tension of navigating daily life. Who will remind Jerry where he put his keys? How do you explain to someone that they forgot a birthday, a milestone, or even the name of a loved one? These are questions no amount of preparation can answer, no therapist can fully solve. Each moment of recognition or lack thereof feels like walking a tightrope between hope and heartbreak. Even his children, who grew up on the sets of comedy clubs and television stages, are grappling with a surreal sense of loss. They remember the man who could turn an ordinary moment into a legendary punchline, the father who could brighten any room with humor and warmth. Now, they watch as that same father struggles to place familiar faces in the context of a world he once understood effortlessly. The contrast is devastating. This struggle goes beyond personal pain. It's a stark reminder of how fragile human connections are, even for those who seem larger than life. Jerry Seinfeld, a man whose laughter once connected millions, is now learning the heartbreak of disconnection in the most intimate way imaginable. It's a tragedy that resonates universally, a reminder that no fame, no fortune, no talent can shield anyone from the cruel realities of aging and disease. And yet, in the midst of this sorrow, the family remains resilient. Every small recognition, every fleeting moment of clarity, is treasured. These rare glimpses of familiarity are precious, fragile sparks of hope in an otherwise confusing and painful journey. Jerry Seinfeld has always been a master of disguise. His weapon isn't a mask, but laughter. On stage, in interviews, on television, he appears confident, sharp, and in control. But behind the bright lights and roaring audiences, a private battle rages, one that no amount of humor can mask. While millions see the icon performing, few know the emotional war he wages daily against a mind that no longer feels entirely his own. Every day presents a challenge. Jerry, the man who once memorized scripts, cues, and punchlines effortlessly, now struggles with simple recollections. The man who could navigate a room, read an audience, and respond with perfect comedic timing, now sometimes hesitates mid-thought, searching for words that once flowed like water. Friends reveal that he keeps notebooks, makes lists, and leans on routines more than ever. Tools once unnecessary, now lifelines. What makes this battle particularly cruel is its invisibility. Fans see the laughter. They don't see the moments between, when Jerry questions himself, when he wonders if the mind that built an empire of comedy is slipping away. He faces a paradox. The world expects humor, consistency, and brilliance, while his internal world is filled with uncertainty and fear. It's a silent struggle, played out behind closed doors, where even the brightest smiles hide moments of vulnerability. Those closest to him have noticed a change in demeanor. Where once there was unshakable confidence, now there is occasional hesitation, a subtle anxiety about forgetting someone's name, a family milestone, or even a familiar anecdote. The juxtaposition is heartbreaking. The public persona remains untouchable, unshakable, but the private man grapples with a reality that no stage can illuminate. Even his legendary observational skills, the hallmark of his comedy, are now tinged with irony. Jerry has spent a lifetime dissecting the quirks of everyday life, turning mundane experiences into shared laughter. And yet, the one observation he struggles with most, the faces of those he loves, is slipping away. Friends note that he sometimes laughs to cover the confusion, a reflexive armor against the fear that recognition may never come. This hidden battle also reveals something profound about the human condition. Jerry's experience is a reminder that even those who seem invincible, whose talent and fame are unmatched, can face vulnerabilities that remain invisible to the world. It's a lesson in empathy. Beneath every public smile may lie a story of private pain, a struggle that commands courage far beyond the stage. And through it all, Jerry continues to perform. He continues to show up, to meet audiences, to do what he has always done best: make people laugh. But behind each laugh, behind each perfectly timed joke, there's a quiet, persistent battle against memory, identity, and the heartbreak of slowly losing the connections that define us most. When news of Jerry Seinfeld's heartbreaking diagnosis reached his inner circle, the reaction was a mixture of shock, sorrow, and determination. Friends, co-stars, and longtime collaborators found themselves grappling not just with the reality of Jerry's condition, but with the emotional weight of watching someone they care for so deeply change in ways they can't control. For many, it's a deeply personal grief, magnified by the fact that Jerry is a public figure whose life millions have followed for decades. Co-stars from Seinfeld have expressed their pain in private, struggling to reconcile the man who delivered some of television's most iconic lines with the father, friend, and colleague facing memory challenges today. Jason Alexander, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Michael Richards, once a tight-knit comedic team, have reportedly rallied around Jerry, offering both humor and emotional support as he navigates this difficult terrain. Even the smallest gestures, a familiar phrase, a shared joke, a quiet conversation, carry immense significance in moments when recognition isn't guaranteed. Friends describe a delicate balance between honoring Jerry's privacy and providing comfort. They know that his public persona is larger than life, and yet the vulnerability he experiences is intensely human. One close friend revealed that when Jerry forgets a familiar face or a shared memory, the room often falls silent, a fleeting moment of collective heartache. But then, like the comedian he has always been, Jerry finds ways to bring levity back, a subtle smile or a chuckle that reminds everyone of his enduring spirit. This network of support extends beyond old co-stars. Fellow comedians, fellow entertainers, and even younger stars who grew up idolizing him are offering words of encouragement, sometimes sharing stories of their own struggles with aging, memory, and identity. There is a silent understanding. Fame may have insulated Jerry from many hardships, but it cannot shield him from the universal human trials of aging and illness. For those closest to him, coping also means adapting to new realities. They've adjusted routines, created memory aids, and built safe spaces where Jerry can feel comfortable, even when recognition falters. Every successful interaction, every moment of clarity, is celebrated as a small victory. And yet, there's an undercurrent of sorrow, because the unpredictability of memory loss means that no one can take anything for granted. Despite the heartbreak, friends emphasize Jerry's resilience. He continues to engage with his world, to perform when he can, and to treasure fleeting moments of recognition. And while the journey is painful, it has also revealed the depth of love and loyalty surrounding him. For those who know Jerry Seinfeld personally, this tragedy has become a shared struggle, a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of presence, laughter, and compassion. Even in the most devastating circumstances, Jerry Seinfeld has spent a lifetime building a legacy that millions around the world admire. He turned ordinary life into comedy gold, made laughter a universal language, and became a cultural icon whose influence spans generations. Yet, behind the applause and the bright lights, he now faces a reality no joke can fix, no punchline can ease. A world where even the faces of those he loves most can feel unfamiliar. It's a truth so devastating that it casts a shadow over everything he has achieved. A stark reminder that fame and fortune can never insulate anyone from life's harshest realities. For someone whose mind has always been his greatest tool, the struggle is deeply personal. Each forgotten memory, each blank stare from a loved one, strikes at the core of his identity. Jerry's life has been built on observation, on understanding the subtleties of human behavior and the nuances of everyday experiences. And now, the one observation he longs to make, the recognition of family, friends, and those he holds dear, is slipping away. The irony is painfully cruel, and the emotional weight is immense. Fans may still see Jerry's charisma, his signature wit, and his ability to light up a stage, but the truth behind the scenes is far more somber. The man who once navigated life with effortless humor now faces moments of confusion, frustration, and vulnerability. Each day presents a delicate balance, holding on to what he can remember, cherishing the fleeting moments of recognition, and confronting the reality that some connections may never feel familiar again. It's a slow, heartbreaking process, one that reshapes his world and challenges the very essence of who he is. Family members, co-stars, and close friends continue to stand by him, offering support, love, and patience. They have adapted to a life where each interaction carries uncertainty, where even a familiar laugh can be tinged with anxiety. Their devotion highlights not only the tragedy of Jerry's condition but also the profound strength of human connection. How love persists, even in the face of memory loss and heartache. For Jerry, every shared joke, every moment of clarity, is a lifeline that reaffirms his place in the world and in the hearts of those who care for him. And yet, the heartbreak lingers. This is a story without a simple resolution, a story that reminds us that even legends are vulnerable. Jerry Seinfeld's journey is a testament to human resilience in the face of unimaginable loss, a narrative that blends sorrow with courage, despair with hope. It challenges us to look beyond the public persona, to recognize the private battles that even the brightest stars endure, and to cherish the moments we have with those we love. As Jerry continues to navigate this new chapter of his life, his story becomes more than just the tragedy of memory loss. It becomes a profound reflection on identity, legacy, and the fragile beauty of human connection. It's a heartbreaking reality, but one that also shines a light on the enduring power of love, humor, and the unbreakable bonds that define a life well lived. In the end, even as faces blur and memories fade, the heart remembers. Jerry Seinfeld's story is, in many ways, a heartbreaking reminder that life does not spare anyone, not even those who seem larger than life. For decades, he has been the man who could make millions laugh, the observer of humanity's quirks, the master of turning ordinary moments into unforgettable comedy. But now, in this unexpected chapter of his life, Jerry faces a struggle that no audience applause, no television show, and no stage lights can fix. The heartbreaking reality of a mind slowly losing its grip on the most essential connections: family, friends, and loved ones. It is impossible to overstate the emotional weight of what Jerry is enduring. Recognition, a fundamental human instinct, is no longer guaranteed for him. The faces of those he has loved, cherished, and built a lifetime of memories with, the very people who define his life beyond fame, can now appear unfamiliar. For the family, each interaction is a balancing act of hope and heartbreak. A fleeting smile of recognition is celebrated like a victory, yet every blank stare is a silent wound, a reminder of the fragility of memory. The love that binds a family remains strong, but it is tested daily by circumstances that are cruelly unpredictable. For Jerry, the journey is deeply personal. A man whose career was built on observation, wit, and mental precision now faces the cruel irony of not being able to recognize the people who mean the most to him. Each day brings moments of confusion and fear, moments when even the simplest interaction can become disorienting. The man who could turn everyday experiences into comedy gold now lives in a world where those experiences can slip away before he has a chance to hold on to them. It's a battle not just of memory, but of identity, self-perception, and the struggle to retain the essence of who he is. Yet, in the midst of this tragedy, there is profound resilience. Jerry's family, his co-stars, and his closest friends have stepped into roles that go beyond ordinary support. They have become anchors in a sea of uncertainty. They adjust routines, create safe spaces, and find ways to celebrate every moment of clarity. For them, caregiving is not a burden, but a labor of love, an affirmation that even as memory fades, the bonds of the heart endure. These small acts of patience and devotion highlight a deeper truth. Life's greatest victories are often measured not by public success, but by the quiet courage and compassion we show to one another in moments of vulnerability. This story also underscores a universal truth about the human condition. Memory loss, aging, and disease can touch anyone, regardless of status, fame, or talent. The world sees Jerry Seinfeld the icon, the comedian, the cultural phenomenon. But behind that public image is a man navigating fears and uncertainties that millions of ordinary people understand all too well. His experience reminds us that vulnerability is not weakness. It is an essential part of being human. Even legends, even those who seem untouchable, face challenges that are profoundly relatable, challenges that speak to the very core of what it means to love, remember, and be remembered. And yet, there is something inspiring in the way Jerry continues to live. He still shows up. He still engages with audiences, performs when he can, and treasures the fleeting moments of recognition and clarity with those he loves. In doing so, he demonstrates a remarkable resilience, a refusal to let tragedy erase the joy, humor, and connections that have defined his life. Each smile, each laugh, each shared joke becomes a testament to human perseverance, a reminder that even when memory fails, the spirit can endure. There is a heartbreaking beauty in this story. It is a story about loss, yes, but also about love, loyalty, and the profound ways that people can support one another when life becomes unbearably difficult. It is about cherishing the fleeting moments, finding hope in the smallest gestures, and remembering that connection does not depend solely on recognition. Even when faces blur and memories fade, the human heart continues to respond, to feel, and to reach for others. For Jerry Seinfeld, the road ahead may be uncertain. The diagnosis may continue to strip away pieces of memory, and moments of confusion may grow more frequent. But his story is not defined solely by this struggle. It is defined by the laughter he brought to the world, the love that surrounds him, and the courage with which he faces each day. It is a reminder that even in heartbreak, there is dignity. Even in loss, there is connection. And even when life takes a tragic turn, there remains the possibility for profound beauty and resilience. Ultimately, Jerry's journey speaks to all of us. It asks us to consider our own relationships, to treasure the moments we have with loved ones, and to find grace in the face of life's unpredictability. It challenges us to see the people around us not just as permanent fixtures in our lives, but as fragile and precious, worthy of our attention, patience, and love. And it reminds us, perhaps most importantly, that the measure of a life is not only in accomplishments, fame, or accolades, but in the love we give, the laughter we share, and the courage we summon when life turns heartbreaking. Jerry Seinfeld's story is a powerful, heart-wrenching testament to the fragility of memory, the enduring strength of love, and the courage required to face the unknown. It is both a tragedy and a lesson, a narrative that touches the soul and forces us to confront the reality that life can change in an instant. Yet, it is also a story of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds that define our humanity. As we watch this comedy legend navigate a heartbreaking reality, we are reminded that even when the world shifts beneath our feet, the heart remembers. And in that remembrance lies the true essence of life, love, and the human spirit.